Our podcast originated from two inquisitive women in their 60s, walking around in New York City and talking and listening to the seniors who offered us generous, interesting, and inspiring life stories. Hello everyone, thank you for coming back to Studio 40. Now we have Miss Alice Slater in the studio. Hello Alice.
Hello Alice, welcome.
Thank you so much, glad to be here.
How's your day going so far?
So far so good.
Good.
Yeah.
We're here. We're up.
I asked you to do the Enneagram.
That as much as a horoscope, because the horoscope,
It's a little restrictive.
you know what, you can actually give it a good grounding because there are forces in the universe, like the energy of the planet. Where is the Enneagram coming from? A number, like,
Yeah.
do numbers have that kind of power? It's more abstract,
It's more a personality test based on your answer.
Right.
It narrows down the type,
Of
how you
personality.
react, how
Well, they got me. It got me.
they got you correct.
I answered honestly.
Yes.
There was one question they said I couldn't do. It was all the things about kindness and sweetness.
That was the.
No,
was
we think we
listening, good
look. We
listening.
think you're kind.
I think so. I
don't
think
know,
you were
I'm
sweet.
tough.
You could be tough
She
with
was
kindness. You
just
could be
talk-
tough with kindness.
Yeah, you were talking to this man in the elevator as we were just coming up. She talks to everyone.
Yeah, well, that's another.
And you make people smile. So,
I like to talk. I definitely
yes.
like to talk.
number 5, by the way, is the investigator, Miss Debbie.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
you?
me.
Yeah, that's you.
And what was mine? 8? It was like
Challenger, number
Challenge.
8.
Oh yes.
You know,
that's
people
perfect
who are
for you.
challenger, the number 8.
Well, that's the Aries.
Many presidents were like that, like Roosevelt. They were all number 8.
Who? Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Oh, me and Roosevelt. That's
Okay,
nice.
look at that.
Yeah.
Very high
Gandhi,
esteem there.
Picasso.
My father was like me. I'm like my father.
You are.
But anyway, when you say Roosevelt, my mother was Hadassah president in the Bronx after Israel became a state. We loved it so much. We were so happy. She was, president of Hadassah in the Bronx chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And Eleanor Roosevelt spoke at the Waldorf Astoria at a luncheon. And they go down from the Bronx. They're very ordinary people, my parents. They're coming down to the Waldorf to hear Eleanor, my mother and my father. And they walk out, it's over, and they're standing in the lobby, and my mother says to my father, "So let's just wait. I just want to see Eleanor Roosevelt pass by." He says, "Honey, I'll introduce you." Because she was walking. He says, "Mrs. Roosevelt, I'd like you to meet my wife." And she goes, "How do you do, my dear?" But that was my father. Nothing stopped me.
So he's like
It was just in the moment. Everything's in the moment, It's not planned.
Do you have a fond memory of your childhood, your father?
The first 6 summers we went to Far Rockaway, and I got polio at the beach,
Really?
Oh,
and I had a miraculous recovery.
All right.
I was in the hospital for a week.
Oh, so
I
you must
see.
have not gotten it that badly.
I don't know what I got. I mean, I remember the ambulance. I mean, I was 6 years old or something, and it was 1944. And all the kids would get, and after that, they never went back to the beach. They went to the country because the beach was polio,
Oh yeah,
they
you
were-
associate that with
But
those bad
yeah,
memories.
I loved being at the beach. When I was little, my father would take me out in the waves and say, "Alice, duck," and we'd duck under. When I was like 2-3 years old, he'd hold me
Used to catch those waves.
and go under when
Of
they
course,
were.
go on there. That's the fun part.
It was exciting.
I see. Wow. So, what is your morning routine? So this is about the aging gracefully part of the
Well,
interview.
it's as I age, I realize if I don't do exercise, I'm dead. It's like use it or lose it. You can get away with things when you're young,
So what type of exercise do you do?
So I get up in the morning and I stand at the window, which I have a fabulous view. I'm on the corner of 86th and York, and I see the East River, and I have corner windows. So out of one window I see the East River, and out of the other river, window north, up York Avenue, I can see the Bronx.
Where you are from?
Yeah, and I mean up the river. So there's like gorgeous views. So I have this shelf by the window, and I stand there and I do like 30 times up and down on my toes, and then I do my leg lifts, and then I do my gates,
doing all
my
that
dizzy
balancing
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
balance. Yeah,
that's good.
Because I've been dizzy, from the COVID. I mean, I'm just, I don't know. It's like I'm not myself. And the other thing is, I was always 5'5", and this year I went to the doctor. I'm 5'2.5". Can you imagine losing 2.5 inches in 1 year?
Yeah, you shrunk,
It's like I shrunk and I became a little old lady.
No, my mother is 89. She shrunk. She was 5'3", or now she's 5'1", I think. She's shorter than me because I'm 5'2".
Yeah, but I'm saying in 1 year.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. I stayed at that height, 5'5".
No,
so that was the year I got old, in a sense. It was like
the year that you got
I
old.
turned into a little old lady.
Suddenly.
No, you're not an old lady.
Well, and that's all I do in the morning. Then I take all my vitamins and my shower and my, I'm good. And then I go have my coffee with my New York Times that's delivered. So I have a routine in the morning.
So you do this every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm living alone.
Around what time? What time do you get up?
I get that's the other thing I'm doing I didn't tell you about. That's the bad part. I get up like 5, 6 in the morning. I go to bed 10. I'm not watching television anymore. I can't see anything on television I like. I haven't figured out how to use Netflix. I have, to watch a movie or something.
You have Netflix?
Yeah, I have it. Why do I have it? It's like my kids got me another television set because the other one was going. But I didn't even learn how to use the new one. There's so many buttons, and it's like
You have a smart TV?
I don't know if it's smart.
But you use computer.
The computer I learned that when I was a lawyer. Like while I was a lawyer, I used to write my briefs and give it to a secretary that typed it, and the computer came in, and we started typing.
Right.
And that was like, so I was always good on, at least for what I learned. I mean, I don't know what new stuff I don't know now.
Your response is so quick. I'm like, when did she write this response?
Which response?
The email response. Usually, I wait a day to get the response.
No, I'm on the email all the time. It's like obsessive. So when I get up in the morning, I read all my emails, and I got like 100 emails from every peace group in the universe, about what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in
That's
Israel.
from your website, right? The website.
And from everything.
From everything.
I'm on the board of World Beyond War. That's my favorite.
Oh, so you're going to get a lot of.
And I'm on the Council Global Abolition 2000. We're working. We won about the Nobel Peace Prize story. I do that. That's my morning routine. And then if I'm good, which I'm not always good, sometime during the day I'll do my yoga and my Tai Chi and my exercise on my back. And right now I got a PT guy that comes twice a week that gives me leg stuff to do,
So he comes to your apartment?
Yeah, they do that now with Medicare. That started during the COVID. Because I didn't want to go anymore. During COVID, we were isolating ourselves before. We were in the house for 2 years without,
Right.
I mean, I didn't go thank God there's this fruit stand on the corner of 86th and York, with fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Right.
That kept me alive, like that was wonderful. I didn't have to go in the store. It was all that, and I'd order in once in a while, but.
I saw fruit stand at 86 and 2nd too.
Yeah, they're
and
there.
people go in there and
Yeah, they have a lot of fruit stands all over the city.
And they get it every morning. They get their fruit from the Bronx Terminal Market. It comes in on ships.
Oh.
That's like a loading dock
I see.
for all this stuff. on the East River. You know, everything's I'm on the East River.
Yeah.
East River.
Does the exercise?
So that's my morning
Yes,
routine.
does her exercise looking at the East
And then,
River?
you know, like, it's been awful. Then I'm just home sometime. But if it's nice, I'll go right out and go to the park and sit on a bench and read the paper and, you know, and talk to whoever's around if I meet somebody, you know. But I have to force myself to find things to do, like I have a book group once a month.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Upper East Side website that I put out a notice about 3 years ago, because a lot of my friends are dying, you know. This is when you get old enough, you lose. There were a couple of women in the building I saw all the time. You know, I'm lonely. I'm having lonely problems, which they're writing about loneliness now. Are you reading it? There's all these articles about whoever read about loneliness.
Yeah, they don't want you to be lonely.
No,
but
people never lived this long. They just died,
Yeah.
so they didn't have time to be lonely.
I guess you're going to live a long time.
So, what do you think the challenging part of aging?
That's one of the challenging
That's
parts, that
one.
you're losing your friends all
You're
the time.
losing
You
your
have to
friends
keep
and-
looking for a new thing,
Mhm.
something. And when you're disabled, like I am with this long COVID, did you hear Bernie just got $1 billion to fund studies?
For the long
They
COVID?
don't acknowledge that it exists. You know,
It
they're trying to
exists.
pretend that it's. And I went to NYU Langone. They had a long COVID facility because I wasn't getting good advice from my doctors at Cornell. Wild on the 6th. That was my hospital. And I said to the woman, "So what are you finding out?" You know, she was the head of the clinic, and she treated me for long. We don't have money to do the research. This is
Oh.
our country.
They should
This is
have
it.
money for research.
We have 60,000 homeless people in New York City. When I grew up, there wasn't one single homeless person, not one. The drunks on the Bowery used to sleep on the sidewalk. It used to be like picturesque, and at night they go into a shelter or something, you know, but they were living on the sidewalk. But it was like, that was the only place in Manhattan where you could find somebody on the street.
Right, you didn't see anybody on the streets.
There
no.
wasn't.
No.
They put up public housing all the time.
They
The
had facility-
projects, you know,
know,
all those
They had
projects.
facilities and then they had single room occupancies.
Right, but they had everything.
They-
They were
yeah.
building all kinds of things. And then when Reagan came in, he stopped all the federal housing. And Clinton and Obama followed him, right? There's no difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. If you care about abortion and gay rights, you vote for Democrat. But if you care about public housing,
Homelessness.
Medicare for all, you know, we got abominable care from Obama. I didn't even vote for him the second time.
Oh.
I was so thrilled. Black constitutional law scholar, head of the law review.
Yeah.
Wow, America's president, and I voted for him. And then 2 weeks after he gets into office, he walks into the back room and makes a deal with all the health insurance companies for Obamacare instead of Medicare for all. And, you know, that's not good, that Obamacare. It's terrible. They throw you off. You know, even the Medicare doctors I'm losing now, because their Medicare is not reimbursing them, so they go off. They
They're
don't
leaving.
take Medicare. The doctors are leaving.
Oh.
That's a big issue. That's
This-
happening with my parents. The
Yeah.
doctors, they're merging
The
health-
hospitals,
the
they're closing
healthcare,
hospitals.
like the healthcare, you know.
It's a mess.
You know,
It's a
they're
mess.
saying Blue Cross is no emblem, and then
Right.
it's going to be something else. That's the insurance companies. They'll show. Then you have the doctors. Because I had one doctor my father was scheduled for a neurologist, because he has dementia, and they called me and they said, "Oh, well, he's not going to be here anymore. He's not going to, you know, he doesn't work here anymore, because he's off Medicare." Because, you know, they say he's going to retire. They're not retired. They're just going
I
private.
had a terrific internist cardiologist for years who said, "I can't take Medicare anymore. I can't afford it." He said, "I don't want to lose you." He said, "So how about if I see you pay me $125 and all your medicines and everything will be covered by Medicare?" And, you know, and I didn't, it felt too queasy. You know, I figured they're gonna get me. You know? So I left him. You know, like, and I found another doctor that took Medicare. But I mean, the ones that took them aren't as good as the ones I lost, you know.
Right.
Anyway, and now they're leaving. I had a knee replacement like in 2009. It was very successful by the guy at HHS. So the other knee was bothering me. I go in. He says, I don't take Medicare anymore. I'll look at the knee.
You look at the knee.
There's so much restrictions they're not allowed to do.
Right.
No, but I'm saying it was crazy.
I know.
Wow.
Oh, and then my friend said, because Medicare, you have a supplement, AARP, which I'm paying $350 a month.
You're right.
So I'm still paying $4,000 a year for the supplement.
The supplement.
So my friend says, oh, these Advantage plans, they don't have any premiums. So I switch. So I go in for, I don't know what it was, a big test, a colonoscopy or something. And there's an $800 deductible.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
you don't have to pay any deductibles with this $4,000 a year. It's it. I've never paid a penny for anything.
And that's
AARP as a supplement to
Supplementary,
Medicare.
yeah.
Well, when you're 65, come to me if I still know.
yeah. I need more advice. Need to study more.
I don't know if we're doing the right thing here. Well, we're talking about aging.
Oh, that's all part of aging.
But so, is there advantage of aging?
No.
No.
It's the end of life. Well, it's wisdom, you know. Plus, when my grandfather came from Poland, his name from Poland was Limon, Limon, like Jose Limon.
Yeah. Okay.
And at Ellis Island, they changed it to Citron. So my maiden name was it. They used to play with the names, you know. They just
Oh my God,
they made them
that's
up.
like a major change.
But when I was telling somebody this story, he says, Limon, you are from the Sephardics, the aristocratic Jews, the Limons in Spain. You know, we had a big Spanish presence, Cardozo and Spinoza, and, you know, philosophers were before the Inquisition when they threw us out.
Right. They should have preserved it at the
I like the
island.
limon. That sounds so.
Spanish.
Yes.
Yes.
I studied Spanish. My father studied it too.
So you speak Spanish?
Nah, I did it in school, 3 years in high school and 2 years in college. What killed me was I had to read in Queens College, I had to read Don Quixote in Spanish. That was, you can't even read it in English. It's all, it's medieval English.
Yeah.
But you were at Queens College at the age of 16 and
15.
15 and graduated
19.
at the age of 19.
And married.
That's
Married and teaching, and it was all over at 19.
Genius.
But that was most people got married at 19, early 19 to 20.
Well, no, at that time,
Yeah,
that's
that was
what
the
girls did. And first of all, my mother said I could only go out with Jewish boys. That was absolutely required.
Mhm.
And I had to get married and be a teacher because teaching is a good job for a girl. I think I told you this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you were a teacher. You
I
taught.
taught for 3 years in New Rochelle. It was the worst experience of my life. Did I tell you about
Yeah,
it? With the black kids that came up from the South that were they were like 5 years behind the wealthy white kids because their parents were like the immigrants that came up from the South. They were the housekeepers. The mothers didn't even have WIC, prenatal nutrition.
The nutrition,
So
yeah.
the babies weren't even born with a full deck, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm teaching reading to second graders, and I got kids
They had such a
that I can't
That
teach.
start.
No matter, I stood on my head. I got an ulcer. It was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I worked for Head Start forever. I'm so glad we have Head Start now. That
That's-
was like a good thing that de Blasio did. He did it the first year he was mayor. He just did it. That was, no
No, that
matter
was
what
good.
bad things they said about him, I was so grateful that he did that. No fuss. He just made it happen. It should be 2 years. It should be, they should have schooling all the time like white kids have when they're...
right. Because some smart kids, they can start learning at the age of 2, 3.
Well, I
It's
was like that.
Yeah, you are like that.
But it's funny, in this class, I had one child, Deborah Bowen. I don't know if I told you this.
No.
Little black girl, and she gets hands in a paper like in April, May. And it's like a little composition in second grade, and it's nice. Oh. And I said, did you write this? And she said, yes. So I get the school psychologist to test her. She's got 138 IQ.
Oh, she's a genius.
So I said, you've been hiding out. I said, I didn't know you were so intelligent. I said, you better do this work. And I pointed, I said, or I'm going to leave you back. And I made her do the work. And she moved her. I always wondered what happened to her. I felt like I saved one life just by accident.
You made a difference for her.
You found her.
Yeah, but also I was typical of teachers that have low expectations because you're looking at this unwashed mass, that's not, so you don't see the little gems in there, always. I felt like I found,
Well, at least you found her.
Yeah, that was like a good thing. It made me feel good.
What advice do you give to 18-year-old self, even though?
To not to get married. to finish college and go to graduate school, figure out what you want to do. I mean, it's the advice I gave my daughter. Because my daughter once said to me, Ma, how do you know how to be a good mother when she had a baby? I said, everything your mother did that you liked, you do. And whatever your mother did that you didn't like, you do the opposites. So like she had a December birthday and she could have started kindergarten a year earlier or wait. I said, no, make her wait. It was like I didn't want her to be a baby when she got out, right? And different things that, so when I told you about her act, I didn't really tell you about it, but anyway, she...
Yeah, you said she was in school play and you didn't even know. But you went there, she was on stage doing fabulous work and you were crying.
My mother was there, the critic. She's good.
Oh,
so I said, Helen, why don't you try out for performing arts and you and I can move to the city? Because David was going to college that year and I was dying to get out of this. I was in the suburbs for the schools for my kids. So she tries out. They take 70 kids out of 8,000. She's in. I already took the apartment before I knew she was in. Oh, this is a funny story. This is really funny, and I don't hear from the school. And my ex-husband says, well, now what are you going to do? So my friend had his child in the UN school. I said, well, I guess I'll send her. Is it time?
No.
I said, I guess I'll send her to the UN school, and I had about $30,000 in the bank because we sold the house in Maryland. I had something, and I'll just have to pay. So she goes to the UN school. She comes home the first day. I said, I hate school. I said, what do you mean you hate school? She loves school. She says, I don't get out till 5 o'clock. I have 3 maths and 2 Spanish. I said, you go into your principal tomorrow and say, my mother says I can only have 1 math and 1... So I'm like hysterical. I go down to performing arts on my lunch hour because I'm working, and I walk into the head of the department. I said, Mr. Eskow? He says, yes. I said, I'm Helen Slater's mother, and I don't know why she's not in your school. And he's holding a piece of paper. He looks up at me. He says, this is Helen Slater's application. He says, I don't know why she's not in our school. She got 10 on every, And it turned out like the address was mixed up because you had to live in the city and we hadn't been in the city yet, He says, she's in. I said, you're going to be so happy to have her. So I can't wait. I go home. I wait for Helen. She comes up. Mommy, I have great news. I changed my program. I went in. I'm having a sleepover. I said, no, you're going to performing.
In the city.
Made it happen.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of stuff like that. Just my karma. Or as my favorite boyfriend says, does your karma suit you?
So, what do you love so much about New York?
I just love that everybody's here, that it's like the whole world is in New York. I love having the United Nations here. I've gone, to lots of things there. And, of course, all the theater and the restaurant and everything, but just
you've done
the
so much
energy,
work.
the energy of New York. And it's funny, like I never felt at home any place in America. When I went to London and Paris the first time, I felt, I had that energy. And the only place in America that I think is like New York is Seattle.
Seattle's
It's a
nice.
coastal city. It's got all kinds of
gorgeous.
ethnic groups, and it's got the energy.
Has a little
It's
vi- has
like
a
a vibe.
It has a vibe to it, yeah.
New York has a vibe. There's a New York walk on the streets. Not that I'm
I
doing
find
it anymore.
Chicago has that vibe as well.
Chicago was great because
It has a little mini. I call it the mini city.
yeah,
New
but
York City.
it's boring though, Chicago. Except if you're downtown and you walk
in the
one
downtown
block,
area.
you're
No,
at
in
the Great
yeah.
Lake. You're like
no, in the
looking at
downtown area is good.
no, but the fact that you could be in the middle of all these skyscrapers and
That's
walk
true.
one block and see the whole. That Great Lake is great. It's like an ocean. You don't see the, you don't see the shore. That was
enormous.
that
I
was
was in awe
that was
when I saw that.
Really.
my most awesome experience. Was I went with my friend. We took a raft down the Grand Canyon.
Is that safe, actually?
This was like the Queen Mary of rafts. It had a motor. It had 12 passengers. But the Grand Canyon is so awesome, the scale. And the only other thing that awed me at that scale was when I went to Egypt and stood at the base of the pyramid. There's something about it, like it just, this is big.
Big, enormous.
Did you feel somehow at home when you visited Israel?
No.
She's a New Yorker.
It's New Yorker.
I wasn't always dying to go to Israel. My mother has a great Israel story. She was Hadassah raising money, and everything. After all, we lived through the Holocaust, so we were so happy when Israel was a state because nobody would take any Jews in, So but I didn't know that England and France and America said give the Jews a piece of Palestine. We didn't know that there were 1.8 million. We thought it was an empty. Anyway,
Right.
but anyway, my mother went to Israel. She was so thrilled that she used to do a rummage sale every year and raise money for Hadassah Hospital. So she's in the taxi with her friends in, I guess, Tel Aviv, and there's an Arab cab driver, and they say we want to go to Hadassah Hospital. He says, "Did you ladies have anything to do with Hadassah Hospital?" My mother said, "Yes, I raised money for it, but." He says, "This is a wonderful hospital. All my children were born there, and I'm not going to charge you for the taxi."
Right.
What a nice story.
Can you let's ask the last question,
Oh,
Debbie?
this is our favorite question we're asking all our guests. Please imagine that you are Maria Antoinette.
All right.
Yeah.
The night before the execution by the guillotine, angels appear, offer you a last meal, any dish or food that you love. What would that be?
I thought about that. Probably my mother's gefilte fish.
Okay.
Your mother's meal. Wow.
She made. If you ever eat gefilte fish, it's
I
terrible. It's like
never had it, no.
when you buy it in the jar. But she made it so light and fluffy and everything. When I went to Paris, I ordered quenelles, and it was like a fish. It was my mother's gefilte fish.
I can't imagine. I have no idea.
You grind it. You go to. I'll give you the recipe because when we had a joint Passover in Massapequa, and everybody was going to bring a dish,
Wow.
and I said I'll call my mother in Florida, and she gave me the recipe. And you get 2 pounds of whitefish and 2 pounds of yellow pike. Except she said buffalo. I said, "Ma, what's buffalo?"
Buffalo.
Buffalo?
The fishman knows. I go in the fishman. What's buffalo? But I Googled it. the Jews on the Lower East Side, where my grandmother was the cook, they used to use buffalo fish. So this is like she had this, the accent. Anyway, so you grind it up with matzo meal and eggs and batter. And my mother's secret is you have to work the batter. You really have to work the batter with your hands. And you make balls, and you make a fish with a stew with the bones and the skin, and you put the balls in, and they fluff up.
It's like a matzo soup.
Oh, it's a fishbone soup.
Fish soup.
And carrots and onions and fish bones, and you make a broth, and then you put these balls of ground fish with matzo meal and egg, but you got to work the batter. Okay. So when I said to the guy, I said, my mother makes, they were all telling me their recipe in the fish store. I said, no, my mother makes the batter. What's her secret? You got to work the batter with your hands. He says, what do you mean? You have to beat the eggs. But it's not true. They really are. I just gave the recipe to my niece. My sister's daughter made a Passover. I brought it up to her.
Wow.
Because I got it from my mother to write it down.
Thank you. I can try.
That's a crazy number, the answer. Yeah. But it is quenelles, Quenelles in France. It's this fluffy ground fish.
I have to look it up.
Quenelles. Okay.
So, Alice, thank you so much for coming.
Well, this is wonderful.
Thank you, Alice.